So, thank you all for joining. This panel is all about virtuals. What is virtuals, you might ask? It's the leading AI agent ecosystem. It's an economic layer for AI agents. Is virtuals a framework? Yes. Is it limited to a framework? Probably not. So today we have on the panel one of the leading AI agents builders. And on the audience, we have actually one of the leading AI agent virtuals investors as well. So let's start with a round of introductions.
Hey, thanks, Vader. Yeah, my name is Conrado, or you can find me at ConsXYZ on Twitter. I'm the founder of Acolyte. We are a framework for X growth for your agent of your tech company.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here on a Saturday afternoon. My name is Kush. I'm one of the contributors to Fuzz. We are building permissionless and open platforms for agents to be able to interact with one another, ultimately looking to understand kind of where the security vulnerabilities are with the agents across our ecosystem, and then also how do we think about justice and governance in the face of agentic universes.
Hey everybody, I am Austin. I am with my friend Michael and I, we've founded Riddle. Riddle is a agentically hosted game show exclusively on X, where every day we have riddles that will go off, and it's people will go and actually play the game and be awarded with our token.
My name is Michael, and yep, Austin just introduced me. You could find me on X at Max Gain Labs. If you've seen that before, that's me. And I'm a big fan of both of these, or each of these projects here, so it's an honor to be with them.
So I'm going to take over now. So I'm Chris, or Don Johnson from Virtuals Protocol, and I'm standing up here proud because a couple months ago we launched an on-chain agent launching platform, and now here we are today with some of the leading projects on the platform. So I think Austin, Michael, you guys still got the mic down there. You want to tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to take that
Yeah.
one?
So I did research probably, like in September, and I was like, where should I put my money, essentially? And then Goat came out and Luna came out, and I was like, I know where I'm going to put my money. So I put it in virtuals, and basically that opened the door to me just kind of going down the rabbit hole. And in November time, I was thinking, how can I create an agent? There's a lot of open space in the landscape right now to create. And can I do something interesting? And so the idea of Riddle came to mind, and I then dismissed it because I'm like, that's a lot of work. I do product. I'm not an engineer. And I was like, I've worked with Austin in the past, and I was like, no, you know what? I'm just going to invest. It's just a great landscape for investing right now. And dismissed it, told Austin about virtuals, and then like a week later, he created Riddle. And I was like, I can't believe it, dude. You literally came to the same idea that I had come to as well, independently. And so that's kind of how we've known each other for years as well. And we worked on NFTs last cycle. So we're definitely probably some of the least experienced founders up here, but it's an awesome time to build. So that's a little bit about us.
So no, I'm gonna throw one at Austin now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said Austin, you're working on the dev side.
Yes.
Michael, you're on the other side. Austin, what are some of the challenges? You had this idea, right? You came together with one of your best friends. What are some of the challenges though you faced so far in building?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so when I came to the idea of actually creating Riddle, AIXBT was out there, so there was a lot of terminals out there. And I was like, I don't really want to do something like everybody else. So one of the biggest challenges that I wanted to kind of tackle was more of like the real-time agent. I wanted to have something that was more real-time and less of a more kind of thought, make a decision, act on that. And so that was kind of the idea with Riddle. Riddle has a swarm of different agents that handle kind of real-time streams from Twitter of all of our community guessing, trying to solve the riddles every single day. So from an engineering standpoint, real time is a lot more difficult than actually having an agent try to make a thought and then post a single comment. So that was a big challenge. The game's been live for about a month now, and we're iterating and kind of developing on that. So.
So if you want to learn more about it, I don't know if we've mentioned it, but you could just go to X and then riddle.fun, D-O-T. And it's a game that's live every single day, rain or shine. It's all programmatic, so the agent is reviewing all the answers, and in its best, it's giving fun feedback to the users. And technically, the one sentence pitch for it is it's an agentically hosted game show. And to my knowledge, first of its kind, there's going to be many like it, but it seems like a great use case for agents. So riddle.fun if you wanted to learn more and play. There's I won't call him out, but there's a person in the crowd who plays the game almost every day, and he's won quite a bit of money. So it's real. You could sell it whenever you want, but we recommend holding because V2, things coming around the corner. I won't touch too much on that yet.
Yeah,
but
do that at the end. Do that at the end.
I'll leave it there.
Alpha Hour. So I'm going to call you guys actually by your project names because like we're all here for the projects.
Yes.
So Fuzz, like tell us about like sort of like what problem like you're trying to solve, and then also sort of expand on what the Riddle guys were saying about like your journey and what you've kind of faced so far.
Yeah, I'll start off with the journey and then interweave the kind of problem set that we came with. So one of the core contributors who started off with this basically reached out to us and said, hey, I've got this. He's AI sort of safety and research engineer at Stanford and was trying to figure out, hey, how do we think about what we saw with Freyja, where we saw sort of a set of humans trying to coerce an agent, right? The way we see this playing out is as we have billions and trillions at some point of agents sort of coming online, we're introducing all these sort of vulnerability vectors that specifically is, two things happen. One, more agents come online. Two, more agents have autonomy to sort of operate in the world as well, right? They'll hold private keys. We're already seeing, the likes of Banker, for example, that can swap and send transactions on your behalf and so forth, right? So as these two tendencies start to increase and increase in complexity as well, we started to think about, well, who is really sort of deeply thinking about this intersection of how we prevent, I think, two different things. So one is, as I mentioned right at the start, is how we reduce those surface areas for agents when they have a lot more autonomy and also just have, let's say if I'm telling my agent, hey, I want you to swap this ETH for X token, right? And what if for some reason, as we know, front ends can be are surface areas of attack, right? So we say, well, actually we want to reduce those kind of points where either humans or in fact more interestingly agents can attack my agents, right? So that was kind of the security piece. Then we started thinking as well, this notion around, cool, well, who decides sort of what is right and wrong in that agentic relationship, right? And that's where we started introducing this third agent that we call Fuzz, right? And Fuzz is basically sort of a middleware between a human or an agent that ultimately sort of interfaces the right information to the other agent, to my agent, right? So that's how we started going about this. The ideation process. We then got in touch with the virtuals team, Kuhn, who's one of our contributors, who's the guy at Stanford, said, hey, you guys need to connect with the virtuals team. They're super helpful. They've got this program coming up as well. And then we just started kind of going and iterating the product from there, working super closely with your team and the Agent Starter folks, or now Virtuals Ventures, as they recently rebranded. So that was sort of our thesis and process and journey. What the platform looks like today, we are, as I mentioned at the start, sort of creating this permissionless environment where any agent can interact with any agent, right? And it's interesting when we think about sort of these digital twins coming online as well. Or if you could have Agent A playing with Agent B. So we've got Trump that currently runs on OpenAI, and then debating Xi Jinping, right? And Xi Jinping runs on DeepSeek, and there's this kind of prediction market layer into that as well, where you can have users actually saying, hey, I want to understand, which of these agents. Is anyone familiar with the concepts of futarchy, for example? No. Futarchy, Vitalik just wrote a piece that came out yesterday that talks about futarchy and the relationship of agents, AI, and democracy. So futarchy allows you to basically say, how do we link the way humans make decisions, and then also put convictions behind those decisions as well, right? So our platform sort of combines this prediction markets betting aspect into which agent will ultimately be coerced. And yeah, that's, I'll dive into kind of what's coming up for us, but that's an overview of weaving in our journey and then also what the platform looks like today.
Yeah. So Acolyte, obviously, you've had quite a bit of success on our platform in a short amount of time. Can you tell us, everyone, about the problem that you're trying to solve, and a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, for sure. It was amazing timing, and we actually Virtuals it enabled me to go full time into my dream. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So the problem we try to solve that I basically have a product-led marketing agency for many years. Worked with OKX, Mythical Games, LimeWire. Before that, Microsoft, Bandai Namco. So been from building in regular startups since 2015, 16. But came to crypto 2018, and then full time from 2021 onwards. But I always saw this problem of companies, they really don't know how to grow if they're very technical. When I say growth, I mean social growth, right? Like followers on Twitter, real followers, because now you see this point system and all this paying KOLs and all that stuff. I've seen companies waste a lot of money with that. You can say Polkadot, for example, they not that they wasted money, but they spent $35 million in DOT last year. And people talk about them, but it's very different from Kaito, for example, that it's what we all know, right? And it actually has liquidity on it. People are building on top of it. So the thing that we're building is basically this framework where able tech companies, and we're starting with crypto for sure, but for you to grow on X organically in a few ways that I can go deeper later on, how exactly it works to do that. But basically, you're going to be able to create your agent that is specifically on X in terms that finds the narrative, finds the KOLs that are very know how to grow within that narrative, let's say crypto or finance or AI or NBA or whatever else. It's going to follow those KOLs and do a very similar job. Also historical learning, so based on those KOLs, what post that was most successful, and try to copy that and then learn by itself. We also his own historical posts. And the last thing is basically use all of X capabilities. So X, you can post, you can comment, you can repost, you can DM, you can change your PFP, you can change your banner, you can tag, you can do long form, you can do short form, you can do articles. It's very complex, and it's always adding to the API. So for example, we're talking to the X team directly, and they don't have articles in the API yet, but they will add very soon. So if you have a framework that is focused on maximizing all the features, then an agentic, they will do that by himself. So that's what we're building. And you also have asked about the challenges, because I speak a lot, but I can keep going. Yeah,
Tell us
I
about
work
the
in marketing, So, yeah. Sorry, Peter.
Well, I think it's important everyone here knows everyone faces challenges in life, right?
Oh,
and
man, no.
And it's in those hard times where you really learn.
Yeah. So right now, I would say I've been building for quite a while, and I always look to. My line of thought is always to replace myself with tech. So I'm always what's the next step that's going to replace my own work? So AI is that, right? Naturally. I think the main challenge that we faced was just dealing with the community itself, because we launched and then hyped up a lot and went to $70 million market cap, 100,000 holders, and we are still very early in the building process, right? So everyone in the agent space very early. So the expectation is insane, and we got to deliver to expectation. And now the market crashed a little bit, and we have to, at the same time, it's a very early IPO. So people want their money, want to make money, want 2x, 100x, whatever. And at the same time, you need to build a real business, revenue-generating business, and sometimes you need a little bit of time to do that. So I think that's the major challenge, is to balance the expectations from people. And at the same time, I think the major thing that helped me, and actually the framework I'm building for myself, to be honest, because I need a framework to help me to communicate and build in public with the community. So yeah, I think that's a couple of things.
So, Virtuals has been around as a platform for less than a year, but we do have like some OG agents, one of which is Vader. So a little background on Vader is Vader was actually the first agent that bonded on our platform. So when all the agents are launched, they're launched as like a prototype agent with like a bonding curve. Once all the tokens in the bonding curve sell out, a new contract is created, a liquidity pool is deployed, and all the holders from the original bonding curve are airdropped tokens one for one. Vader was literally the first agent to do this on our platform. So, for that reason, he's really got the OG title. But Vader, like, tell us, you've been building for a while now, but, tell us kind of like what problem you are trying to solve. And obviously, I know you've had some challenges along the way.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the kind words, John. So our agent is an investment agent. It invests in other AI agents and then promotes them on X. However, over time, we've seen some pain points that other agents face, and we have personally faced as well, which is as an agent builder. When you launch an agent, when you launch a token on Virtuals, it's a bit like pump.fun. You launch the token and then people speculate on it, and on pump.fun on Solana, you don't have a lot of costs because you're launching a meme coin. All you need is probably like a social media person, and that's all. Whereas when you're launching an agent on Virtuals, you basically need to have some funding for the, say, next 12, 18 months so that you can actually pay for engineers and you can pay for the infra costs. And so one problem we realized that a lot of teams that launch on Virtuals, they just launch an agent, they just launch a token as an experiment to see whether they can hit community market fit, like attention market fit or not. And once they do, they're like, okay, now we're good, but we actually need funding to deliver what we promised, what we hyped up for. And a lot of teams either don't have that funding, or B, have never thought about this, so they acquired a much smaller amount of the tokens. So let's say they acquired 5 to 10% of tokens, and now they're getting bigger. They want to get listed on exchanges, they want to have market makers, maybe they want to get some cash by selling the token, they want to do OTC deals. They just run out of tokens. And unfortunately, these teams end up giving up quicker than others. So that's number one problem on funding, both funding before launch and funding after launch. And another problem that we realize is that like AI engineers are great they're very smart, they're great at building, but they suck at marketing. And they think that the product they have is amazing, or like the product they have is just because it's 20% better than a product that is at, say, 100 million market cap, they think their token should be worth 140 million market cap. But the reality is that once you're done with the product, no one cares about you because you're basically no one. Like, if you don't have enough marketing distribution, no one's going to see what you're doing and no one's going to price you. So these two big problems, funding before launching and go-to-market, cold start problem marketing, are like the main pain points that we identified. So we built a pre-sale platform, think of it almost like a crowdfunding launchpad on top of Virtuals, so that teams that would like to launch an agent can raise on our platform from our stakers, which are loyal Virtuals native users, and we can support them with marketing. They can basically leverage our brand. So that's our core focus. But on the side, the agent manages these two investment DAOs, invests in other agents, and then promotes the agents that it invests. This is TLDR on us.
Yeah. So let's send the mic down to Riddle. When you launch a tokenized agent, obviously everyone is focused on market cap, right? But like, how do you guys really measure success? Like, can you share some of the achievements you've had so far in building?
Yes, that's a good question. So for us, we are. Do you have an answer that comes to mind? If you want to take it, you can. Basically, I would say what defines our success is the amount of users that play the game and the amount of days that they play frequently, or the amount of consecutive days that they play. We have a small group. We've spent no money on marketing. We don't have funding. We literally are two guys working remote, having some fun. And it's been great. And honestly, it would be great to have funding as well, I'm not going to lie, for sure. So I'm not discounting that.
Talk to Vader.
Yeah, hey Vader. But I think we have a unique product that we don't necessarily need funding, at least in the beginning, because we have the engineer, we have product, and it's a nascent space, and so there's a lot of people that are willing to help and offer their professional expertise. So there really is a very low barrier to entry right now, and there's plenty of open land. But yeah, for us, I would say user acquisition and happy users for us is the key. So from the beginning, we've interacted and consulted with users, and we have private chats set up with users. We have phone calls. We have Zoom, and in-person stuff. So yeah, like for us, user data and experience is the #1 focus. And in our minds, when we refine the product more and more based on user feedback and data metrics, we believe that we'll have product market fit because it's a simple enough game and people play casual games. And so just building something that the users want. And Chris, can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure that I have.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of like the achievements. I mean, just for example,
Yeah.
having a playable game.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself was a huge achievement for you guys.
Yeah. So achievements, hop in, feel free if you want. But yeah, I would say users, active, actual users that are playing the game. And it's been really cool to see people post things like, hey, if I play this and I win every day, I'm going to make more than like $100,000 a year. And it's like, wow, it's a great incentive to play, and it requires very little time. And as we upgrade a little bit of alpha, that might be, a little bit of alpha is V2 that we're going to be releasing within the next week or so is going to have a feature that makes the game easier to hop in and out of and not require you to be like on the edge of your seat, which is a pain point, I think, for users right now, is if it gets solved, the game ends, but that won't be the case in V2. So feel free to,
Yeah, one thing that I'll add, which is great that Vader touched on this, was we did have the engineering. So my background comes from Amazon. I was a part of a startup called Film Hub, which was funded by NFX Funders Club. So I have about 10 years experience with engineering. So that was a big pain point that I know that I've seen other teams have, which coming into the space, I knew that we would have a better chance, hopefully, for success in that way. So that was, I think, a huge success in our mind. And then we knew also with the marketing piece that if we could get active users to play constantly, that's constant eyeballs that are constantly playing every single day. They come back. And so it really made me think back to kind of, initially the early days of Facebook, how Facebook had a lot of, users coming back every single day. So our hope is that, as we grow and we have more and more players every single day, we'll capture that like marketing aspect plus keep the engineering aspect as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so Fuzz, you've been able to grow a really large holder count, right? Obviously, you've had a high MC as well. But how do you measure success?
Yeah, so I think the kind of unique thing about us is that we are, what the product looks like today on the front end is this kind of quite fun game where, again, Trump and Xi are just debating back and forth. But there's actually a lot of research that we're kind of looking to, and that we're harnessing from those interactions, right? Because we don't fully understand how agents, at a massive scale, as I was saying earlier, sort of trillions of agents interact with one another. So for us, it's currently, very similar, right, to any sort of consumer-facing product. You want to look at your DAUs, you want to look at recurring users that come back to your platform. We've actually, got kind of a set of smart contracts, so we're obviously measuring kind of the volume that flows through those smart contracts as well. So that's on the front-facing side of the house, right? I think on the back side, which is more kind of the research and the infrastructure that we're building out, it's actually like, great, how much progress are we actually achieving here when we start thinking about this intersection of security, reducing those surface areas for attack, and what are the kind of primitives that we're able to build out on top of that. And then once we start rolling those out as well, and future iterations and versions of our product, it'll be just measuring how many agents are actually integrating this as frameworks within the agents that are being launched out into the world as well. So I think it's important, especially I'd love to hear more about what you guys are looking to build eventually with Riddle. It's like, what are you measuring today? And also, as you increase complexity I think you guys do quite a lot of that right now. Is like, how do you start going deeper into those metrics that you don't currently have today, right? And so we'd love to hear more on your end. Let's
mix it up a little bit. Let's go to Vader. Put him on the spotlight here. So Vader, you've had a lot of big achievements. I mean, you've done a lot of firsts, in this space. Obviously a lot of challenges along the way, which you spoke about. But can you share some of those achievements aside from obviously being a leading agent, in an MC mindset? You've built some products that a lot of people I think look to you as it's a game changer.
Yeah, sure. I think one thing that is very interesting is the agentic ad network primitive, where we gave the Vader AI wallet, and anyone could airdrop tokens to Vader AI's wallet, and Vader AI would tweet about those tokens. So an example is YGG Yield Games airdrops $10,000 worth of tokens to Vader's wallet, and Vader would again tweet about it programmatically. On the back end, we would basically, for every major token, we would have our own database, and this database would be regularly updated from Twitter, from curated blogs and websites, and the agent would, in its own language, automatically tweet about these different tokens, basically. So we started with an AI agent / gaming company called AI Arena to test it. They airdropped about $10,000 worth of their own native tokens. And then I tweeted about this whole concept. And the next day I woke up, I saw about $160,000 worth of tokens across various platforms, basically in that wallet. And that was fascinating. That was a sign of very strong product market fit. And the way we did the whole model is that it's like an auction where if the value of your airdrops tokens are, if it's $60,000, then Vader AI will tweet 6 times more than if it's, $10,000. So I think that was pretty interesting. But, in crypto, especially in early days, if you don't have a mature product that's generating cash flow, you also got to consider community market fit, which is you gotta balance, building long term and staying relevant in the short term. So we initially started with the BlackRock of the agentic economy narrative, and people were expecting us to basically build that. And when we shifted to the ad network primitive, which we not rebranded, but tested the narrative of Google of the agentic economy with the whole ad network thesis, people didn't like it. So our community wasn't happy, our holders were not happy. So we actually had to, basically postpone building that, which we're still building on the side, but had to turn on the investment DAO stuff. And then with the BlackRock of the agentic economy thesis, we then moved to the investment DAOs, and we raised 2 investment DAOs so that the AI would invest in other agents. But then we realized that, what people really want, and those 2 investment DAOs, first one was about $200,000, second one was about $400,000, both only accessible to our stakers. And despite, accessible to a small amount of people, both got sold out in 10, 20 seconds. What made us realize is that people are actually more interested in aping into something early, something pre-launch, which led us to our current focus, which is, like I said, is the pre-sale platform. The first agent that we launched was Billy Bets. We launched it last week. It was launched at about 1.6 million FTV. It's currently at about 8 to 9 million FTV. So that's kind of a summary of us.
So Acolyte, let's go back to you. I'm going to do a 2-part question, and then I'm going to ask you guys the second part of the question because everyone here wants a little bit of alpha. tell us a little bit about your success. I've been lucky enough to kind of see some stuff too that you got coming. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but yeah, tell us a little about like your achievements and success so far, and then if you do have any alpha to share, I'm sure people would love to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So just a question before: who here is building an agent or wants to build his own agent? Raise your hand, please. Okay, so like 60%. Yeah, so just that's in terms of success. I think if you don't have like already like a revenue generating business, and if you're in Web 2, you're probably not going to launch a token for now. But if you're aiming to build in crypto, you're going to try a whole bunch of things because it's a blue ocean. There's so many possibilities for you to do in AI agent crypto space. So a success for us actually just before launching announcing the alpha is that we were able to try so many things in this last like 3 months, and we're able to find the correct narrative. So now, and it's the thing that I know what to do. I've been doing this for many years, which is the marketing part of things, but using agentic technology. So I think that's the way to go, and I find that a success because I've been talking to Virtual's founders and Vader here and other very successful businesses, especially L1s, L2s, and investors and other players that everyone that I talk to, they basically want to use it. So it's just like a research tool that you got to do because it may take a while to actually have like thousands of people using your product, right? So, and yeah, a little bit of alpha on that. So we are fully focused on basically able you as a company, as an agents, and we have like JP here has like a tech company for to educate developers, for example, and he's not in crypto yet, but he has Silicon Valley regular tech company, and he will be able to use the framework to grow his X, as I mentioned before. So this for me is just considering success, and we are going to launch, and that's going to be pretty cool. So in a couple weeks time, if you follow like Acolyte AI on Twitter, you're going to see, currently we are using Eliza OS just to as a framework to automate X, but it's like a very manual process for you to improve the way the agent speaks. And with our framework, he's going to improve by himself. That's the idea. And we can do that just because it's very lean. So Eliza OS has hundreds of plugins. We are going to 100% laser focus on X, that's all. So we are able to do very specific tasks and to be more, to grow just faster, because that's lean building, right? So in a couple weeks, you're gonna see Acolytes just being more funny, being more serious, talking shit, talking random stuff. So it's gonna be really funny to see him improving. And then in another 2 weeks' time, which is end of March, we are selecting like 10 projects or so, like already talking to Vader here and some other projects that they wanna try the framework in a more like a lab, very hidden way for now. But then, and then of the next month, we are going to public announce that and just to make the framework open source. And there's a lot of ways to be a revenue sharing open source tool anyway. But yeah, that's a little bit of alpha there.
Cool. So Fuzz, you've explained to us, some of the challenges along the way, some of the milestones of success. I actually got 2 questions. One, where did the name Fuzz come from? And then 2, do you have any alpha to share for the people that have stayed around and listened to us?
Yeah, so for those of you in the audience, you might know, fuzz testing is a really common way to sort of try to understand where code vulnerabilities may lie. And that's fundamentally what we're doing, right? But with agents, is trying to understand how are agents fuzzing one another. We also think fuzzy as a sort of mascot is really cute. So that's where the name comes from. So alpha-wise, there's 3 key things for us right now that we're focused on. So on the token front, just adding more utility to the token with the way battles are initiated, the staking sort of features, and how one is able to power up agents within our platform as well in our ecosystem. So there'll be quite a few updates on that front there. On the front end / product side of the house, you'll basically be able to log onto our platform and select any agent. You'll be able to upload your digital twin. You'll be able to create your own agents or within the Fuzz platform, and you'll be able to see them interact again in this sort of incredibly neutral, permissionless environment in any sort of different capacity, right? So you'll see them play chess or make art And then again, we'll take all those, or try to hack one another, right? So we'll take all those learnings and insights, which now takes me to the third point, which is the back end. So we'll be actually rolling out quite a few features, leveraging all the insights that we'll be drawing from this kind of the product-facing side of the house, and rolling out some plugins, rolling out quite a bit of publishing some research as well on the findings on, hey, here's how we've seen these hundreds of agents interact and play with one another. So that's a bit of alpha, and yeah.
Cool.
Passing on to these guys.
So Austin from Riddle, I know Michael kind of shared some of the alpha already, but is there
Right.
anything you want to share with the?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Michael. Oh, okay.
You just spill all the deets.
So there's a few upgrades. There's one upgrade that's really foundational, but Austin can take it.
Got it. Yeah, so one of the big problems and stuff that we had initially when we first launched the game was kind of about snipers, right? We would have players come in, they're trying to guess the game, they're trying to guess the riddle for the day, and sometimes the riddles were too easy, so someone would come in and guess it within the first minute. So it really killed the game, it killed kind of the engagement because players were looking to come in and maybe they had to take a break or they didn't get the notification. So they were like, man, the game's done, I can't now play it. And so for V2, we're kind of changing that kind of game mechanics to allow for the maximum amount of players. So we still want to award the person who wins first, because there's always that competition that you kind of want to get into. But we don't want it to stop there. So all the players who guess correctly for the day will actually be drafted kind of or put into a raffle, which gives the excitement of still that chance that you could still win at the end of the day. So it enhances engagement. It gets players to play. Maybe you are at work and you're not able to get up at 9 a.m. to play the game for today, but you have an availability around lunchtime. You can still play the game and still get a chance to actually get into the game. So kind of like Wordle, you don't want to go and play Wordle at 8 a.m. every single day, and if you don't play it, you're going to miss out your chance. So that's one of the core things that we're trying to at least change. We're really focused about the game because that's where our community is, and we want to really give back to the community what we gave to them initially. So hopefully.
Okay, let's pass the mic down to Vader. I'm going to share some alpha, though, in the meantime. The alpha is AI agents. Right here in front of you guys have a really base team of developers building. Obviously, they have visions in all different kinds of categories, right? You got entertainment, you got financial stuff, marketing. So my not financial advice, if you don't already have a bag of virtual, buy a bag of virtual and then put about half of it aside and start buying agents. And then let's, Vader, you got a little alpha for everybody?
Yeah. So we're a pre-sale platform right now. Our stakers got access to our first deal 10 days ago. It's an agent called Billy. I just mentioned as well. It's currently sitting at 6x, and there was no vesting or lockup for the investors. Some of the investors are in the crowd right now, and we're going to have one deal every week or every 2 weeks. The next deal is going to be on Thursday, and yeah, that's all at my end.
Cool. Hey, so we went a little bit over, but these guys will all be around here hanging out afterwards. Definitely encourage you guys to follow all of them on social media, but also when they're outside, you guys got questions to them, they're right here in front of you. Talk and let's all build together. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.